let's put the spotlight then on the advisory from the mutual fund body, AMFI, and what we saw. This is, of course, at the behest of SEBI. Dhirendra Kumar joins in right now, CEO of Value Research, to understand a little bit more. Dhirendra, thanks so much for taking time out. Given that, among many things, there is a recommendation with respect to restriction of SIP and lump sum investments in mid and small cap funds. What exactly is the implication of this?
This is just alerting investor, creating sensitivity for the kind of, these funds have gone up substantially. And, this is the 5th year running where these small cap funds are witnessing a double-digit growth of returns. But I don't worry much about individual investors right now, because the magical thing or the differentiated thing or the completely different thing this time round that is happening is that most of the inflow from individual investors is coming in by way of SIP. It is not a seasonal one-time investment. It is not a sudden surge. So that is very comforting. And most mutual funds who were witnessing this massive inflow, nobody was willing to bell the cat, because everybody, I spoke to a couple of fund CEOs and fund managers, and they said that they don't want to be the first one to actually put the gate, simply because they will, investors will be provoked to pull money out of them, so out of fear. So this alert coming from SEBI or AMFI will actually bring about some degree of sensitivity. All of them will act in tandem in terms of putting gates. And this is good in a sense that people should not have unreasonable expectations from these levels in the short term, which is what is playing out right now.
Dhirendra, good morning. Nikunj also joining in. The job of a regulator is to focus on investor protection and take care of market risk. I've rarely seen regulators come and talk about a category-specific, category-specific order or a notification. I mean, regulator never gets into valuations, but this time around they are talking about valuations.
Yes, they are talking about valuations simply because mutual funds have proved to be an island of promise for in this market. If we can actually think of millions of happy investors, we will find them only in mutual fund. And they don't really want to disturb the apple cart, simply because, creating this sensitivity around this might be good. Of course, mutual, most of the regulators, they don't ever alert on this.
So should we consider this as more like a statutory warning, which is that be mindful of risk, or this in a sense is more like a directive?
No, I think it is more like alerting companies and investors. But most investors, who are doing their SIP can just carry on with their plans, because when you look at the 23% annualized return over the last 10 years, if you look at all the happy investors who are doing their SIP in small cap fund, the phenomenal growth that they have witnessed, the small cap universe, which mutual fund used to invest 5 years back, was about close to 300 companies. Now that has grown to 500 and nearly 600 companies. So 300 to 600. So and the growth of this market is entirely a function of sustained money flowing into it. Even now, if you look at all the small companies which are going to, some of them will turn large cap, some of them will turn mid cap, and some of them will become global players. They require, promoters are the largest stakeholder in those companies. Many of these companies in which mutual funds are attracted, they have invested heavily, the prices have gone up. The promoters still have 70, 60%, they are the biggest shareholder. And, this is the kind of, it's a chicken and egg story. And mutual fund deserve this alert simply because the market is so shallow. And this is the segment of the market where we don't have the diversity. This is the segment of the market where, in small caps, NPF money does not flow in. In this small cap, the EPF money does not flow in. Even FII money doesn't flow in. This segment of the market is entirely individual punters and mutual funds. And for individual punters, the universe is large, nearly 3,000 companies. But for mutual fund, it is 580 companies or so.
All right, Dhirendra. Thank you very much for putting things into perspective.